Hello, and welcome to episode one of Where Wub, our new UVS focused podcast with myself, Ryan Levine, joined here by Mitchell Cimino, Kalvin Harrigal, aka Wub, and Travis Tangeman. So, short intro on us if anyone listening has no idea who we are. We've all been playing this game for varying lengths of time. Travis the longest, then Mitch, then me, and Wub, and to not go super in depth to it, we're talking about just the previous year of competitive play. All four of us were qualified for the World Championship this year, with Travis making the finals, Wub and Mitch making top 32. I suck, so I did not. And then Mitch and I made top 4 at Nationals this year. Travis won Nationals, and Travis won a regional this year as well. Wub topped every major regional this year, and I made top 4 at one of them. Which one? The St. Louis regional, and Mitchell was the winner of the Wish tournament webcam event. So pretty good. I'd say altogether we all had a pretty solid year. So we are hoping to
something.
Yeah, so we are hoping to continue this, and we talk about this game all the time, and we decided we would just have something where we just kind of yap about upcoming stuff on both the casual like brew side, because I think we all kind of just like making Wub mostly make like funny decks, as well as the competitive side. So we're going to be talking about today. We've now finally seen all of the upcoming AOT 3 characters. We're talking about those. We do have a couple AOT 3 card reveals, so stick around for that. That'll be some time, in the middle or whatever. And then we're going to talk about the current metagame leading up to Albuquerque, the kind of decks we've been messing around with, what symbols and cards we think are especially good, and what decks we expect to see and what we're prepping for. But I guess before we jump into it, does anybody else have anything like to add to this intro, or are we good to just jump in?
I think we should be good to go with this really spontaneous podcast that we didn't,
we just did the one time. Have not re-recorded.
Yeah. All right. So, we're gonna start with the AOT3 characters. I guess to not step on the toes of other content creators that have been revealing them over the last couple weeks. We will hopefully have the link to the character reveal page from the UVS Games website in the description. We're not going to talk about them in order of reveal. I just have them alphabetically in front of me. So if you want to see, their videos and the card arts and the text in depth for all of these things, we'll have that link in the description. But we're just talking about the characters, and we're gonna go from there. So first up, we have Annie Leonhardt Awakened on Chaos and Death 7-hand, 21 hand size. This is like another one of these. She's like another, like she's like Mimic for backups, haha, sort of, right? Like she can commit a backup to pass a check.
Yeah.
I don't have really any strong thoughts this character one way or another. I guess if any of you have really thought about this character first, I recommend you start. But
she has like a handful of pretty like easy or interesting ways to like transform quickly, right? Like there's a lot of like chaos, like free or close to free ways to just like scam momentum.
Her transform condition is get through momentum, right? Well, after you have to use her ability to sacrifice a backup or foundation, and then you get a momentum from the top, and if you have 3, you transform. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, her transform side to me is like not particularly super interesting. Like the enhance is like cool. It's just basically Godzilla, but like there's stats attached to it also. So like that's interesting, but I think as far as like thinking about builds for her more, it kind of just like I stopped at, oh, you can transform her pretty quick, and that's about as far as I got with it.
Yeah.
She has some cool stuff, particularly with like 4-check attacks, because she can buff them. I think a lot of people saw this and wanted to go City Rampage right away, and like, sure, that's fine. I think the thing is her backside enhance reads really strong, but the problem with this character to me is that it is kind of a character like Hanji, except and by Hanji I mean the Death Hanji 2. That character doesn't have the cost associated with the damage reduction, whereas Female Titan Finale does. So like if you're running out of momentum, this character just doesn't really have a way of living. And then also, if you're starting your offensive turn on the backside without momentum, it's very hard to get going. So you have this initial strong swing, but then it's kind of like, I don't really know what you do if you run out of that resource, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
To kind of elaborate on that, I think that at this point in the game, momentum is so free and plentiful that her backside is realistically not a cost. Especially with like what we have seen. Like we saw her ultra rare is literally just rapid speed slash, but both modes, as long as you have one momentum. And like that card's crazy.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that just says, oh well, I only actually have to play one move, two moves. I have to play two moves to transform, because you can play anything and get a momentum with any, and then play it, get a momentum, get another momentum with any, and you're just, yeah, already transformed. You have 3 momentum to work with. If you're a City Rampage deck, you've drawn a free card off of her 5 diff, and you just have infinite stats. You're a 7-hander Zilla, basically. And I think that's very strong. And that's not even thinking about what she can do on the death symbol, or the fact that she's not locked into playing 5 damage attacks if you choose to not go the City Rampage route, or 5 diff attacks.
Yeah, because like most of the newer stuff that snaps momentum, I feel like is AOT 1. Like most of the good momentum snapping, I think, is AOT 1 on. Like not all of it, but a lot of it just chaos attuned. So even on death, I'm sure like Determined Advance is outrageous, comically insane broken card. So I feel like that's obviously one that will slot in here pretty well, especially the City Rampage
Yeah,
route.
that probably fits.
That,
Yeah.
I just think if you're doing the forecheck thing, you're more likely to have the backups in your stage for the like when this character's giving +2/+3 and not just +3.
For sure,
it's so much easier to like make sure that you're
Right.
getting those momentum and everything.
Yeah. Also, to your point of like the chaos attuned stuff being the snap momentum, if you're just primary symbol death, you like also get dual needle. So you can just like dual needle and then do all the
crazy.
Yeah, do all the chaos like attuned stuff that shoves momentum, and like in 0 progressive and 2 attacks, as long as one of them is dual needle, you can just flip your character over. So like
reflecting on choices.
Yeah, that's pretty not bad.
But I do also like how the enhance works on defense. You can like DR one move, block the next, because like it just the check just floats like Godzilla.
Yeah, floating.
So
yeah.
I think the static for backups is like borderline irrelevant card text on her. Like the more I think about how she plays, I don't really get why you can like why does she commit a backup as like it seems relatively irrelevant. I don't know.
I think they wanted to put something more interesting on her. I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So like, think about if she's buffing the check to play like Warhammer attacks, and you're like building those into your stage, and then you're just using it to pass the check.
Sure.
Like, sure, you don't get the 1/1 stats, but like, then you just sack it or do something else with it. It doesn't really matter.
Is there some sort of like lore reason that she commits backups? Like backups are usually like Titans or people. I'll be honest, I'm kind of a fraud. I have not watched all of. I have not watched all of the AOT, which is why I let you guys go.
But I don't let you guys really remember if there.
I let you guys go first.
There's like a thing where a female Titan can like get the powers of the other Titans by ingesting.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Or something, but I don't know if that. I don't see how that translates to
using them as a resource.
It doesn't matter.
They're
a resource.
You are
there we go, dude. We did it. Right. Yeah, that's why I let you guys go first when you were talking about the new character names. Not because I didn't have an opinion on them, but because I didn't know how to pronounce Flock and Peak. But now I do.
Almost all of the transforms are finale, so I don't think the character names really.
I wish they had done something different with the backside names. Like, just call them something else.
It's all right.
No, they're definitively letting us know they're not making another set.
This is it. Okay.
That's why they're all called finale.
All right, let's go to
Armin.
Armin Arler, Power of the Colossus. So very cool when we've had 2 Bertolds get errated and an Armin get errated. And now we have a front side Armin, flip side Colossus Titan. How long will he last? Cards in your hand have, you may try to play this card face down as a foundation with 2 difficulty. That's his stat. So like, I think I want to spend most of my time talking about this, like on that effect.
Yeah.
What do we think that will do to his deck building, if anything? I think I saw like knee-jerk reaction people talking about him. I've seen people be like, oh my god, you can play so many attacks in this deck because if you brick on attacks, you can make them foundations. And I'm sitting here thinking like, if you play too many attacks in this deck, it means your checks are going to be mostly 3s. And he lets you create blank 2-diff foundations, which means like the only extra foundations you have are 2 diffs. So if you want to play a low foundation count, the low foundation count you have to play are going to be 1s and 0s. So you're going to be playing your blanks as 2s and then like 1 0, and then you're presumably going to be checking 3s after that because you play a higher saturation of 3s. How much does that actually let you make your deck more attacks? Like I don't really see it in that regard.
I think honestly a lot of people are going that route, which kind of means that most of your staging area is just blank. Like half of it is blank and the rest of it is like bad spam because they hate good spam. But a lot of people are just like, oh dude, finally, this is the outwit character for real, for sure. And it's like, I guess.
Oh, is that like the intention of you play an outwit face down as a 2-diff instead of an attack? I guess. I guess so. Is that good?
Like a lot of the good outwit cards are like on order, and like maybe it's good.
You can build Titan Injection face down as a 2-diff. That's pretty sick. That's actually that one. I like that one. That one I'm on board with.
There is an outwit that's both halves of surprising skill. Like you ready one and they commit one when they stun you.
It's also like that's definitely the intention because like both sides of his character have like flip a foundation to do a thing. So like you use the outwit, then you just redo it.
Yeah, because I guess if you are just overloading on attacks, you won't even have foundations to flip. So yeah, sure. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. I guess that all right. Yeah. I see the vision now. I understand.
They also want you to like play the big difficulty foundations like Manipulations of Zeke Jaeger or the new 6-diff one that's like formed, add an attack to your hand. Yeah, and then unflip them with the first enhance.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first enhance, if your attack deals damage, you unflip one of your big ones and you flip your outwit down.
I'm with it.
So yeah.
Additionally, reasonably easy transform cost, 8 foundations instead of 9. Yeah. But it's only you. So like your opponent can't have which I think is better. I think it's better. I do somewhat think it was a mistake to let the AOT 1 transforms work when your opponent got to 9 before you. It basically just said your opponent's not allowed to go like when your opponent was allowed to complete your minigame for you, that didn't really feel like it made sense, but I like this better.
Their solution to not printing real deadlock is, you know, deciding that you get to flip over into a new, better character if your opponent goes to deadlock.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy's cool.
He's neat. He's got Travis, some cool stuff
you
going.
Had something.
Yeah. So I think this character is more interesting for like you can play a higher count of assets in your deck and like unflip them when you touch.
Ooh, I like that.
They just become actual assets. Like Ship is really good in this character.
That's
we're
sick.
Back. Ryan, we're back.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's sick.
Armin Allright of the USS Cerritos. Let's go.
We're just unflipping some nonsense whenever a move hits. And it also means that like if those cards are in your deck, your opponent really doesn't want to get hit by anything you're doing, which can be a benefit as well.
Yeah, that's sick. Good point.
All right. What is his what is his other? Wait, hold on. After he transforms, he stops unflipping. No, he stops unflipping after he transforms, but that's probably fine. I just didn't even read his flip side. He gives draw discard. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's now that I've discussed this with other people, I might actually try to build this character. I really like I guess I'll call him Armin 2. Is Armin, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever. I like the one from AOT 1, the set. Like not the Challenger deck one. I like the one from the AOT 1 set. I like the signal shot, hardened jab like ability. That's a cool like mechanic. So yeah, I like that ability, and when I saw this one doesn't have that, but I also like the flipping and unflipping. Like I really like Falling Heel Strike. That's like a really cool card to me. So having a Falling Heel Strike type effect on face is pretty interesting. I didn't really see how it all came together, but I do think this character is cool. And I like the order symbol obviously. So I'll probably
order character that kills people.
Order character that puts damage on cards. Yeah,
he say with +5. That's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So no shade on Connie, but I do
I have
think
nothing to
this
say.
is the least
Yeah,
interesting character
yeah.
literally ever.
The most
Like-
interesting part about the Connie character is I don't even remember who, post a meme at some point in Andrew's Discord, and it's just the fucking Moon Knight panel where it's random bullshit go, and it was just a one-of deck of just like a bunch of one-of weapons in Connie,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
you're playing on 0 prog the entire turn for every attack that you hit them with. And
Yeah,
it's like, I guess, man.
yeah, like
Yeah, you sure are.
Literally anyway. Yeah.
this is
Oh,
this is
no,
one of these
anyways.
characters where it's just like I see the vision, I say in air quotes as I have a
Uh-huh.
blindfold on, but
Yes, of course.
I it's like
Thank you, Miss Bullock.
when your opponent when your opponent flips Connie and you're like, okay, and they play an attack and it's like legally blockable, and then you block it, now what? Like, right? like now, like, all right, I feel like this is a character that even playing on +1 progressive quite literally is not part of their game plan. Like their deck will not be designed to function like that way, I feel. I don't know. Air makes sense for this type of like air symbol makes sense for this type of. I don't really see why like how life synergizes with this at all, really. Like unless you're just doing. There are some pretty good life weapons, and by pretty good I mean I can think of like 3. But dual needle lunge clears itself anyway, so like that doesn't matter. And then deception dagger might be on the life symbol, but that's not a card you want cleared. That's a card you want in your momentum.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just think that like a lot of the stuff on like air and even air attuned, like that gives you benefits for clearing shit from your card pool or even does it on its own. I can think of like 3 or 4 other characters that are better to be playing that type of shit in.
Yeah.
So like maybe like the cards with Connie's face on them that aren't Connie from the set might be kind of cool for like other characters, but like I don't really know why you'd play this guy.
We've probably already wasted too much time talking about him.
Yeah.
Because he's just
That's why I said I have nothing to say.
The final attack.
It's okay.
Aaron Yeager, the usurper.
Yes, Aaron Yeager, usurper. When I first read this card, I read him in the context. I did not realize he was a 5-hander, and I was like, "Oh, this card is broken." And then I saw it was a 5-hander. I'm like, "Oh, this card is medium okay. Like maybe he's fine." But there are a lot of Titan like foundation, and by a lot of I mean I can think of a couple like Titan keyworded foundations. So I feel like this isn't an absurdly like difficult. Like I feel like you will mill a Fury or Titan card a reasonable amount of the time, but not as much like his only ability until you flip, which I guess is not that well. Wait. Oh, he can't flip until you cycle. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't see this being very good. I feel like this
all
is
right, hold on. Cuz like there's oh wait, this isn't a Titan card. Never mind. I was gonna say you have like a bunch of mill and like manipulations of Zeke Yeager plus like this plus like every single like fire attuned mill card or like fire like actual symbol mill card. Like
you could just be playing Endeavor. If we're trying to cycle, I just don't think these abilities, as much as I think Endeavor is kind of power corrupt and not good right now, I don't think this is you have to cycle and perform an additional action. And you don't get stats like to do it. I look at this and I'm like, this is 5-hand Endeavor and maybe weaker. Like that's kind of how I see it, but maybe I'm not looking at it correctly. But that's kind of how I see it.
I think it's another one of those characters that's like that we like just talked about with Connie, right? Where it's like, yes, you can do the same type of stuff that like the character is leading you to like want to do, but like why wouldn't you just do it on someone better, right? Like if you're trying to cycle. Or like trying to just mill crazy, like pick another guy that does better things and doesn't require you to cycle and then do another thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can just play Burt one or Mount Lady if you want to stun one and +3 each move, right?
Yeah,
like it's just the payoff's just not there. I think.
Yeah, I think he's kind of middling, truthfully.
Yeah, he's got 36 health though. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, but Burt 1 is a 6-hander. And
anyways, speaking of a lot of health.
Yeah.
Falco.
Oh, yeah. God. This character, I think, is extremely strong, and a lot of people didn't think that originally. Like, I don't know. I think this guy is great. Like I think he's extremely good.
Yeah, I think he's nuts. I think
Yeah.
Falco's super sick.
This guy is not charge shield breaker like everyone was saying.
Yeah, no,
he sure is not.
He's a lot. So his front side is, this is a character that, like, unlike some of the other ones, I think, like, his front side like he exists only to flip. Like his front side, like you will never stay on his front side if you can help it. Like I can see a universe where you stay on Armin's front side for like a little longer to unflip. I can see a universe where you stay on Annie's front side a little longer, like where you like try just to get momentum, and you're like you spend momentum to put you to one, then get a second one, and do that. But this is one that's like his front side does not do anything. His front side exists only to flip, and then when you flip, you are insane. So.
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably gives a bit too much speed. I like that he doesn't like he proposes a question that you have to go find in deck building of like figuring out the momentum flipping and also figuring out how to live by readying cards, right? Like are you going to draw cards when you get hit when you ready like stable work, or you're going to find out some other thing, but like he doesn't answer all the questions immediately, and that makes him fun to deck build. But then also LOL plus 10 speed on Walk the Dog Die. I don't know. Like I guess.
Yeah, it's I think like the Eureka moment was like, oh, his static can ready himself once. So you get to put a trillion speed on something. They either have a reset and then you've, burned one of their barrier shields or whatever, or they don't, and then he just readies himself, and then you give your next attack 10 speed or something you want. I don't think giving your attacks EX2 matters at all. Maybe I think that's less relevant. I guess it gives you a momentum outlet because presumably, as you mentioned, your deck building has to be giving you momentum because you need to be able to flip. So because he gives EX2 to your attacks, now your momentum isn't irrelevant.
If you need to push it over the edge, right? It's just like a little bit of EX if you need it. But then like also you can like, this is a Helm Blast symbol. If you wanted a powerful 5, like you give 10 speed to that and shotgun your momentum into that, or Walk the Dog, or any number of things. It's not super complicated to kill with this character, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest question is just going to be protecting yourself from the resets, like speed resets. Because like speed reduction is irrelevant. When you give your attack 8 speed, it doesn't, like they can, have commit, like they can have 4 nice tries. It doesn't matter. Like it's, or equivalent commit for minus speed. It's really just a reset that they need, I think. That's the only thing that will stop you from just killing them. So.
This character says have a reset or explode, and also have it twice if I ever touch you, right? Because he gets to ready himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, like his symbol combination and what his character is doing means that the cards with his face on them in the set are very interesting to like me and like every other character on these two symbols in general.
Correct. Yeah, because he's just so generic and like.
Yeah, it's just it's air chaos, do cool things with momentum, the character, and it's like, okay, well that's just what air and chaos were already doing. So like, cannot wait for more from Mr. Falco.
This character, we're not. Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, yeah, I know that like we're not talking too much about the cards that have been shown, but like also the warrior tag for this character matters because he gets the true identity.
The plus
Marley's Warriors or whatever.
That is true. Yeah.
Oh, and he can ready it.
Yes, he plays determined on a 5 and then ready.
Because that's on Chaos. It's on Chaos Death Attuned, right?
Yep, it's Chaos.
Chaos Death Attuned. Okay, yeah.
AKA
the Infinity symbol.
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
it's also a flip, but like it's just you get the foundation back, right?
Yeah.
And you've done one half of his effect. But
we got Flock up next, I think.
Not a huge fan of mill 2 build a backup with difficulty 2 or less among cards build this way. I feel so like cards that's it is mill 2 is not many, and this is one like I look at this card and I'm like, I just looking at this card as printed, I feel like there is a 100% chance in playtest the number of cards you milled changed 15 different times. And like maybe milling 3 was insanity and like you built every single time, and like, or milling 1 is obviously nothing, and like there is no number between 2 and 3. So 2 is
this literally just feels like my opponent's gonna sit across from me with Flock, and they're gonna press the enhance button and then shake their head when they miss, and then
Yeah.
I'll be like,
Oh, yep.
yeah,
They're like,
that's
wow, I play
that's just
10. I'm
that's
like,
just
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
just normal, man. Like, I
Yeah.
I
don't
feel like
know.
he could have not had the your attack tag on that
Yeah,
enhance. Like,
probably.
Yeah, for
To be
sure.
Yeah,
Especially
honest.
if
I
they're
agree.
trying to just do like a bunch of synergy with milling on fire symbol, right? If that's like part of his symbol identity, and if
This
like
enhance
cycling
isn't
matters.
even good. Like first enhance, if
No,
you have 3 more backups, double this attack's damage or reduce this attack's damage to 0. Like it being a
dude,
first
this reminds
enhance, commit first enhance limits it so much that like
that is a
I
worse
just
enhance than the fucking Deku 1 enhance from like 3 years ago. Like that is a way
Yeah.
worse enhance.
yeah. Yeah. It's
I,
I don't see it, I guess. Like I
yeah.
don't see the vision here.
I think this character's support is going to be good for other characters that are specifically not him. Like
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
the 5-hander Zeke actually becomes crazy because he got a 1 diff backup you can play in any number of copies that gives stats or minus stats. It's plus or minus speed.
10. 10 copies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, you're right,
come
you're
on
right.
now. Don't be
Yeah,
ridiculous.
let's rein it in. We're
Yeah,
not
you
gonna play.
cannot register a
Sure.
240 card Nick
You're
Raven
right,
deck
you're
with
right. My bad,
200
my
back.
When he builds 5 of them on turn 1 or whatever because he's playing 10
Yep.
in his deck, I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll matter.
Yeah.
Yes. When he builds 5 of them and you go, I can't believe you drew 5, and he goes, I play 10, like that's a reasonable response.
Yeah.
And you don't jump across the table.
Okay.
Uh,
So Hanj 3, Hanzoe 14th commander of the Survey Corps. I like this character. I think wall counters are interesting, and I think a lot of the wall counter support, like a lot of the wall counter support requires you to stockpile wall counters, and then a lot of the wall counter characters I think spend wall counters more quickly than they really stockpile them, with the exception of Krista and Historia, where like I think this is a character that it like does both. Like I think this character
Yeah.
spends wall counters efficiently, but also generates them well, so you can use her ability to spend wall counters. But if you don't use her ability for a couple turns, you will have a stockpile of wall counters for your Wall Maria's Might to draw a bunch of cards, which is like that is the ultimate wall counter payoff card, right?
Right. Her symbol combo to me is really interesting because I'm pretty sure like with the cards from like the girl power Momo that care about like singletons in staging area and stuff like that, she's like pretty frequently an 8-hander. And then on top of that, you have like all of the real like crazy good payoffs for wall counters that I can think of are just order attuned. So you can pretty confidently primary life symbol her and just like be doing that. Also, it kind of is the same thing to me as when you were talking about like Flock's enhance might have been crazy if it was mill 3. Like it feels like 3 wall counters for -1 progressive difficulty is like a pretty steep rate, but if it was 2, it might just be like way too good, and it might be just like another coda almost. But
I mean,
I don't know.
I think you can just
Coda never
wait
did
a
anything wrong.
couple
I don't know.
turns. Like
Apologist, coda
you're gonna
apologist.
get
Yeah.
so like so it's 4 cards in your stage with different names. Han Zoe
She already
is a
counts for
card
1,
in
yeah.
your stage. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like that's so it actually is only 3, haha, because she's always there. And
Yeah.
like I don't think that's difficult to well, I guess it'll
So
the
getting
first
It's not
counters is
difficult.
the
Yeah.
first counter is free. The first one's on the house. Then the second
Yes,
counter,
yeah.
like you need 7 foundations or assets. But I think with a combination of like backups and assets and whatever, you know, it won't be that difficult. Maybe she can even play one of the cards that we're gonna reveal today that needs a bunch of different card types. We're gonna get there in a second. Anyways, yeah. So, like if you have a bunch of different assets or like you know defensive assets, which I don't remember all of the life ones, but like Order has a decent number of them. Like Order has Team Doctor Ichigaki. VME still exists, so that's on both symbols.
Mhm.
Item Box is on Order.
With desperately.
She does get to play Ship
Yeah.
on both. Ship is on both Order and Life, yes. So she gets to
Yep.
do
Yeah.
both, yeah. So she gets to have these very powerful control / like defensive assets that you know will count towards her wall counter condition. So you don't need to go
Yeah.
like super deep. So I think because it counts backups and assets, if you don't want to enter deadlock, or you don't have to commit to a 20 foundation hyper deadlock stage to be accumulating counters. You can have like 7 foundations, your character is 1 name, and like a couple assets and like a backup, and that's not unreasonable, I don't think.
For sure, yeah, you get a lot of. She just has access to a lot of tools, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, I think she's super
pretty good. I think she's like, this is a character where I'm like spot on symbols for what she wants to be doing. Like some characters, I think you look at the effects and you're like, I guess like one of the symbols makes sense. Like the other symbol is like, why is this here? But like this one is like pretty spot on, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard to stay alive on her, to be fair.
But I mean, that's true. She is 23 health.
Yeah.
So we have John, Kirsten, Hardened Soldier. I think this is another one that's like John. Yeah, I think it's John, right? Is it? Is it Gene?
Everyone knows how to say it too.
No, I'm pretty sure it's John, right? Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
That's
I don't know.
why I waited.
Anyways,
that's why you're driving.
Anyways, I think this is another like. Unfortunately, similar to Takani, I don't think this is a super interesting effect or character. So it's a once per turn discard cost to do a minuscule effect. Unless you've cleared a card, then you draw 2. It's whatever, error order. I don't know. I think we've spent too much time on Connie that I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this one. I don't think you're playing this, unfortunately. Yeah. So it's
Levi.
Yeah. Yes. This is what like. Levi, I haven't been super impressed with any of Levi's character cards so far. I don't know if this one will change my mind, but do you have any strong opinions on this one way or another?
I think he's pretty good. Looping Sweeping Daggers is strong, and that's probably all I have to say.
Yeah,
like,
that is all I have to say.
Any further than that.
Yes, air symbol. He has 1 symbol. You will main symbol him on air, and then maybe play 3 fire attune cards. Yes.
Yeah, that was literally what Travis said was the only thing that I had any amount of a thought about with this character.
Loop Sweeping Daggers, give it 2/2 sometimes. Yippee!
Yeah. Or wait, is Goblin Bolt a Goblin Bolt's a weapon, right?
It flips, so you don't get to pick it up.
It flips, but maybe sometimes you can use it on offense.
You never use it.
Use it on offense and then bring it back for defense. I guess
it might just be a ranged spell, but
yeah.
All right. I think we can kind of talk about these next 2 like kind of at the same time. I think they're very similarly like coded characters. So Mikasa and
Peak.
Okay. Sorry, my mic cut out. I definitely knew. Anyways, so Mikasa and Peak,
everybody knows that.
they're both like you want to be sacrificing on almost every attack to get the reasonably strong abilities that these characters have. So Mikasa's, her main one is sacrifice a foundation, draw 2. That's very strong. And then Peak is sacrifice for +2 or -2 damage, and then you transform. And then when you transform, you search your deck for one of her assets that you play, and then she has a tenacious sacrifice +3 or -3 speed, and then transforms back. And you will be kind of flip-flopping and giving speed or giving, speed and damage. You'll be burning through your foundations at a pretty heavy rate. And similarly, Mikasa will be burning her foundations at a heavy rate. She will be drawing cards to replace them like card advantage wise, but she's also a 5-hander, so she'll have a slower start in general. My first reaction when looking at these were, I felt like Erwin does what these characters are doing more consistently, but I am like, Erwin has his own problems. I think post combined firepower ban, or let's call it a ban, whatever. Post errata of combined firepower, Erwin, I think, can struggle to find lethal damage, and Peak will not, because Peak will be putting 2 damage in everything, where Erwin won't be, and will putting more speed than Erwin even, right? So maybe Peak will just end the game before the sacrificing foundations matters. Mikasa truly, when I look at this character, I think to myself, this just does look like worse Irwin.
Right.
Because, like, after you've sacrificed and drawn 2, now you are at the same number of cards Irwin started with anyway. So unless you're triggering her effect, like, you start the game with 2 fewer cards, whatever. But it's, and she's a lot of health, I guess. So
That is true. I
I don't
also
know.
think that, like, she has more potential, right? Because, like, after the first 2, sure, you're Irwin's hand size, but what about the next attack, right? And, like,
Sure,
there
yeah.
are plenty of ways to get these free foundations or, like, rebuild on the death symbol.
Yeah. I know of the things we've seen, the Willie Tiber backup is like you sack, respond, build, and then you can sack him as a foundation. So like there are ways to like generate additional foundations, and I believe he's death attuned or whatever. So like my interest in Mikasa is more like as you string out, like how far can you go? Can you just be like a 13-hander this turn? And then are you able to still check your cards is like the question. But in theory, there could be like a +3 or better weapon, and she just gives a lot of damage as well, like on top of that, if it's playable. So like that's interesting. Peak is kind of weird because the thing I didn't notice when I first read this character is her front side is a first enhance. So you do need to start with that if you're going to do the flip-flop thing. I think on defense there's no reason not to just stay on the back and block as like someone who enjoys showdown, and we're on -3 speed, block with showdown. Like I think that's just what you do. But she has a lot of buttons, and I think that's what makes her like sort of difficult to evaluate, at least to me, but it also is just like so many stats, right? So you have to consider the asset.
because it's going to be,
as
because
well.
the asset is also like a more or less like continuous +1 damage as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
All right, so next up, Porco, Death Fire. He does more mill stuff. I guess that's fine. I'm not super enthusiastic about this character, but
He's
I mean, his
alright.
flip side seems very steady, right? Like it's just a aggro 7-hander with floating 2/2 stats that says that you can't like do any cool block tricks to me.
yes, I suppose so.
sure. I've played into this incidentally because we were bored and he loaded up and I said I don't care, I'm just trying to see if my deck works. And this character with like he has his own 3-diff attack and besiege and teaming and milling avoiding conflicts, and I'm with you. Like it just does like 40 damage on turn 2.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, because I guess if you
just-
are trying to flip, you are just playing the good ones with low difficulty and just
And
just
usually-
slinging them.
Usually
right?
what you're doing is like playing a teaming on like a 6 third, then playing a 3-diff on a 6, picking up the teaming, playing the teaming on a 5.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's just like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this like play style because it's very end the game on turn 2, but he sure can do that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Interesting.
He sure does loop sweeping daggers, so like I'm already in. You got me. You have me at the word go from this one.
You just
Yeah.
want no one to have a graveyard ever.
I literally don't. I want to play the coolest moves in your deck because I don't want to have to think about my offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you're a great deck builder, which is why I think I'm just gonna play your
Exactly.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did a great job selecting the best attacks. So, dude, that was the sidebar. Over the weekend, I played against someone in pickup games at an LC, and they were playing the like Mafia Toya, not the one from Yu Yu Hakusho or whatever.
Yeah, from,
Oh, yeah.
Undaunted Raid.
Yeah, from Undaunted Raid. And they were like, I can't afford sweeping daggers, but if my opponent can, then I can. And I was like, that's really funny. And then I looked at the character and I was like, wait, he has Void. You could play 8 copies of sweeping daggers plus his character ability.
Yeah,
That's really
That's
funny.
so funny.
that is
Boya Mill.
literally. Yeah, but
Um,
Porco is a just
but yeah,
kill you character.
Porco just
which
seems like
is
a crazy aggro character.
not
yeah.
my favorite, type of character, but you know, sometimes they will. I think it's not even like not my favorite type of character. I think I'm just tired of my opponent having 4 besieges and 3 teamings in their card pool and me dying. I think I'm just kind of over that. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, maybe if it.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah. Like fire tuned. Yep. All right.
Anyway.
You brought death main symbol fire attuned again. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. like, all right.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Anyways.
The next guy is really cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Reiner
Like,
Braun.
the new Reiner is really fucking sick in terms of like, this is just going to be a deck building puzzle.
Yeah.
And
one of the
excited to watch
answers will
Wub
be in
solve
our
it.
reveal and whenever we do that in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a puzzle for someone like Wub specifically to solve because it won't be me. But there's like a lot of interesting shit you can be doing. All of the like free build stuff we were talking about for other people, or just like leveraging a bunch of the stuff that just is a good toolbox piece that's like any color other than orange or green. You can just put in this deck with a straight face.
Yeah, I mean the trick is like trying to flip them as fast as possible. The backside's obviously insane. Like the ability to target flip or target commit, whatever you want, whenever an attack is played is like just incredible. This guy plays Forceful Negotiator really, really well. From a first look, my guess is like doing some stuff with like emerging threats, and then like Quest Board is really cool because it's an asset or a backup depending on what you need. Like Hacker Extraordinaire says, "Don't hit me or I get my momentum to transform." There's like a whole bunch of pieces, right? But it's not super hard to flip, and I think you can build in a way that you get there, and then the crazy control side on the back just make your opponent miserable for attempting to enter the enhanced step.
Yeah, and you have the two best
familiar.
for
Yeah,
that.
something else we're doing.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm just saying, the last time there was a like Travis Wub collaboration deck, it won a nationals, and I think this is going to be a Travis Wub collaboration character.
Yeah, that's
So,
on the same symbols. History is
exactly.
Weird.
We're so back.
Yeah.
This character is. I think this character is good. I mentioned this when we weren't recording, but like I'm curious to know the lore of the first form. Your non-attacks get -1 difficulty. I don't think every ability on every character needs to have a definitive lore reason. I'm just curious if anybody has any thoughts on that. I don't really. Yeah, that's fine. It's probably fine. I think that's like.
I was just tired.
Yeah.
Tired of the violence and needless bloodshed.
He wants to play non-attack cards. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, literally. I guess it's fine. Like I think that's like another cool thing that like you get to make your difficulty curves of your like foundations and assets like a little higher until you win the die roll and go first and check a 3 on your 4 and go, my deck sucks. So it's probably fine. It probably just means you get to play like a slightly larger saturation of like 3 difficulty foundations. I guess like you can play like a couple more because going first that won't like ruin you, and then going second you get to play like a just better foundation, because I feel like if you just make your foundation base higher difficulty across the board, when you go first your turn will look pathetic. You will check a 3 and explode, but it's probably.
I think it's a lot better when you're trying to flip early and like you have to play a couple moves. It basically says your build is a lot safer.
Yes, which is really cool.
You just
I like
play
that.
a normal deck.
Yeah, I like that going second. Like if you don't get turn 2'd and you get a like your first attacking turn means that your foundations will not commit you to build, which I think is like that is where I think like the most like feel bad moments in this game happen are when like you are going second. You play like 1 or 2 attacks, and then you just check 3s on your build, and now you're just committed and your opponent's killing you. And that just like kind of can't, like you're getting punished like triple for going second when things like that happen. And I feel like this character that doesn't happen, which is nice, I suppose.
This is once again an order control character that actually kills people. So
right.
They shouldn't have given us this power.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're really good at making those, and you guys are really good at building those. So have fun.
Warhammer
Warhammer
Titan.
now?
Yeah. I'm gonna read what is the actual text of this card, not this. Commit, choose an attack card in your discard pile and lose health equal to its check value. Add the chosen card to your hand. Okay, that is this card got like a day 0, technically day like -28 errata. Like errata like 4 weeks before this set came out. Yeah, so day -28 errata. And then the Tenacious Enhanced, you get +6 damage for every health you have for every 5 health you have, reduce this bonus by 1. So if you are at full, you get 0 damage. If you pay 3 life to pick up an attack, you are at 29 conveniently, so you get 1 damage. And then from then it scales as the game goes on, to the point that if you have like, I think when it becomes like a pretty substantial bonus is when you have like 15 or less health, or 19 or less health, I guess. If you're giving 3 damage, I think is where you feel like your character has done something.
Yeah, it starts to be more respectable.
Yeah.
But the real question is then, would you play a 7-hand size character that gives 3 damage and has 19 health? Like, that's their only ability is that they are a 7-hander that gives 3 damage. Would you play?
I mean, you got the attack of your
Their
choice,
other
right?
ability is, I guess, technically, you can choose to pay 3 life to pick up 1 attack per turn.
You can pick up sweeping daggers, Travis.
Sweeping daggers.
Yes, I know. They're dangling it in front of my face. I get it. But like, even then, I'm not interested in this character.
Right,
even
fair.
though they do pick up sweeping every
Unplayable,
turn.
If even
But
Travis
like-
won't touch you when you can loop sweeping daggers, you're worthless.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah.
Dude, I guess lore gamers in the chat, is his hammer his skin? What's going on with that?
It's like a
yes.
sort of, yes. This if I remember correctly, this, like, what is pictured here in the artwork of this character is not actually the Warhammer Titan. It is like a construct. Like, the Warhammer Titan's ability is it can like make like objects, and to keep themselves safe, this, what you're looking at here, is not their main body. They were like hiding, and basically they like made a projection that looked like a Titan. So when they tried to kill this, it wasn't actually where their body was. So sort of, yes, what you said is kind of, if I remember how that went, correctly, that is the case. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So each Titan has their own like hardening ability, and the Warhammer's ability is that it can manipulate its skin to form whatever.
So that's a skin hula hoop that it's holding.
A Warhammer, yes, a skin Warhammer.
Yeah,
the curvature is a little odd, I will admit.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
it uses like a whip at one point. It could be that.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true. Yeah.
It's also, there's a scene where it's like winding up to swing with the hammer, and it like looks really weird, and it could be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Zeke.
That's not the most interesting one. Yeah. Zeke is though. Zeke's sick.
Zeke is.
cool.
I think.
This is my favorite character in the set.
Yeah,
actually.
I think all the Zeke and Beast Titans, I think they've been the characters, all 3 Zeke / Beast Titans, in my opinion, have been the characters to engage with the backup mechanic in the most interesting way. So if you're going to play a backup deck that actually plays in a unique manner, I think you're going to pick one of the Zekes or Beast Titan, is how I probably feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Or you're going to like one-shot people with Elder, but that's a different thing.
Well, I said unique and interesting. I didn't, I was very specific.
So this guy, like,
hurt one's feelings.
it's very, no, I'm more interested in Beast in this Zeke than I am Elder, to be honest. But that's also post all the AOT stuff anyway.
Yeah,
this guy's like, I sort of live in this world where I think of this guy with like a bunch of backups in his stage, and I don't know if you can get to that point. However, if you do, this guy is the sickest Colossal Detonation character, because you can once per turn flip him and get plus like 1 billion to your check to play it. And then you just wipe the stage. They can't do anything. I don't know. Like, you're fine. You probably do something from there.
Funny.
And then all your attacks are free.
Yep. So, very cool character. I don't know what'll happen with him. Maybe it's too hard to like transform him, or too difficult to like keep the backups in your stage. Like, maybe that's the problem with him, but I like what he does. I think the ability to like use your backups for something and then sacrificing a committed backup is not a big deal, right? Like, usually that's a good thing. That means they're attacking it, and you just like, this guy's backups can't be attacked on the front side, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That is true.
I also think it's kind of funny, like, what in this cycle of like AOT releases has done is people will get mad, like, I can't believe like X event result has caused these cards to spike or whatever, but it's just like, this has happened every single time an AOT set has come out, where it's like, I can't believe the Beast Titan card spiked because of this. It's like, there's 3 sets, man. They're gonna keep, the characters are still there, man. They're just gonna keep
they're gonna keep getting better.
Like, I cannot
Yeah.
believe all of these 7 difficulty really good transform attacks in the middle of the block of AOT are going up in price because they keep printing cards that work with them. And then
Yeah,
you
it's
just
like-
go, can you run that sentence back to
Like
yourself again?
Walmaria's
Like-
might will be better when more cards with the word wall counter come out, right? Like that
Yeah,
one's like
yeah,
pretty
like-
like reasonable
yeah.
assumption. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like I do think that like I'm not the biggest fan of backups in general, like the mechanic. Like but whatever. But I do appreciate when they make characters that interact with them in an interesting way. Like I do not consider Annie being able to tap a backup as if it was a foundation an interesting way to engage in backups.
Yeah.
But I do think that like I also don't really think Flock is an interesting way to engage in backups, but I do think all of the Zeke and Beast Titans are like you are actually putting these cards in your deck for a reason and getting like interesting abilities on them, and you are engaging with them in an interesting way. So that I can
All of them-
appreciate.
They're drawing cards, right? Like, and
Yeah.
that's like the fun part of it. Like,
Yeah.
it makes it feel like you're doing things with
Yeah.
these cards that otherwise a lot of times just don't do anything.
Right.
Or do very little.
I can easily see someone playing this Zeke with a bunch of the like Marley Warriors as well, because they are just like repeatable speed 8, which is good.
Yeah.
Especially in your character that's trying to get to a point where like, oh yeah, I flip over and my backside is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that covers the characters. All in
Yeah.
all, I think I like these characters. So design wise, I like these characters more than AOT 1 because AOT 1, every time a new character came out, I just kind of rolled my eyes and was like, why does this character have 68 health? And that didn't happen this time. And I think like, and then AOT 2, I think a lot of the characters, a lot of them were kind of like reined back in power wise with the outliers of, I guess, Hanji 2 and Bert 2. Here, I think there are obviously some that are like pretty, as we said, like Connie and Jean are like pretty uninteresting and bland, but I think there's like a lot else going on here. Like Zeke is another like cool backup character. Reiner is a new deck building challenge that I think was not seen previously. So his like his decks will look extremely different to almost every other deck that we've seen in this game because you have to balance that. Like Porco, haha, like death, fire, aggro, like Yawn. Peak very Irwin 1 coded, like that'll probably kind of similar. And then Hanj will be an interesting deck as well. Falco, I think Aaron's kind of whatever, and then Armin and Annie. Like I think we have a very high number of playable characters that will look different from other characters we've seen. And I think that's to me what was most interesting is like I don't really think it's super compelling when like a new character, like I guess not to make Porco the punching bag again, but like when I read Porco, I'd be like, oh, like this deck list will look extreme, like he's keyword locked a little bit, but he will look extremely, extremely similar to Death Aggro we've seen in the past. Like we've seen 20 different flavors of Death Aggro. I'm not super like enthusiastic about seeing how this deck will be built, but a bunch of the other ones, I'm like, oh, these will be very interesting. These will be cool. This will be something to do. If you want to build a new deck, you have plenty to work with here, which I think is the most interesting part of new sets coming out. So,
which makes it all the more sad that we don't get it for Albuquerque, but like,
but
obviously
it
we
is what it
understand
is.
why.
Yeah.
Right.
Logistically,
We do
I understand it,
why.
but I wish it could have been, but logistically, I do understand why it is not. So I'm not gonna be like too upset about it. But yeah. So, what are you guys' thoughts? Like overall, like, do you like this more? I think the AOT sets, having not seen the whole set yet, I feel like we've had a positive trajectory. I think I might be willing to say they've just gotten better, not necessarily like strictly power level wise, but like from my like satisfaction, I like each AOT set more than the previous one. Like I like 3 more than 2 more than 1 so far, which is good. Like I'm glad that they've had a improving trajectory, in my opinion. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat.
Speaking of the whole set, we got a couple reveals now.
Here we go.
So we've looked at these a little bit. Some of these are not super exciting, but some of these are pretty cool. I like. But let's just start. I'll have these. Maybe. Can you guys still see my screen? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right. So the first one, Symbolic Shot. This is not a super crazy one. 3 diff, 2 mid block, 3 mid 2. Blitz. Spend 1 momentum, mill 4 cost. Add 1 attack milled this way to your hand. I have no strong feelings on this card one way or another. It is chaos attuned, so momentum is not super hard to come by, but I just don't think the stats are there for this card to see like competitive play. Like mill 4 is a lot and pick up an attack is good, but this is like 3 diffs, just how this game works, I guess. I feel like generally you want to be playing towards the end of your string, because if you're leading with a 3 diff, like what's the point? You want to be playing it later in your string where you can like still get value out of it being a 3 diff. And when you're playing this as your 3rd or 4th attack, and then you're picking up an attack, are you playing a 5th one? Like maybe, but
right.
Yeah, but this is just a 3 mid 2. It's not going to do a whole lot on its own. It gives you an enhanced step, but I don't think this is super compelling, but maybe there's some range synergies here that I'm neglecting, because there's been a bunch of range support recently, but
that is true. I think this card's just fine. I don't think it's going to like change anything. I don't think anyone's freaking out over this, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's there, I guess. The next one, Snap Decision. 3 diff, 3 mid block, 4 control foundation. Response remove. After your rival plays their 3rd attack or greater this turn, add it to their hand. Your rival's next check to play an attack gets -1. Life attuned. This card I feel almost certainly will see play. Like this is it is a 3 diff 4 check, or so like there is a cost associated with playing this card, but for the characters that want this effect, that is a cost they're willing to pay. Like they're willing to like, this is for a character that like there will be turns you just build, like you will just double build instead of attacking, or on like turn 4 in your control deck, you will just not attack this turn and you'll just build again, and that's fine. And this is just
you can tell that
like
you can tell they were afraid of this card, right? By
because they really under its numbers are bad. Its effect is good. Its numbers are close to the worst numbers you could give a card. Like 3 diff, 3 mid block, 4 control, close to the worst numbers a card could have. So its effect has to be strong, obviously, which I think this fits that.
This definitely will have the struggling with studies effect of your opponent will place 2 attacks on the table and then build pass, because you have this card in your stage, and they just don't want to deal with it.
So this card is like, I love this card. I think it's a very good effect. This card is really frustrating to me because there is literally just a death card that does the same thing on an outwit as a 2/5 with an actually okay block, and that really annoys me. Like, why is it always death that gets the good stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, death has been like the anointed symbol recently, I feel. Like it was chaos for a while, and now I feel like it is death. Yeah.
Is it in the new set, Travis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just must have missed the preview.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
unfortunate for life, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunate for life, but you know, not every character has not every character has death, but maybe all the characters your opponents will play you in tournament will have death, but we'll see.
True.
Yes. The next one, Frantic Plea. So this one I think is quite good as well. 1 diff, 2 high block, 5 check. Chaos attuned. Response, flip. After your rival plays their 3rd attack or greater this turn, remove a card from your card pool and draw 1 card. So this is the effect of Battle for Dominance, which is sort of like, you know, struggling with studies light, but on chaos. So I think this is almost strictly worse than Battle for Dominance, in that like it requires your opponent to play 3, and then you don't get a choice of when you activate it. Like sometimes it being response speed is stronger, but most of the time I feel like Battle for Dominance on there, like if you block and they play a 2nd attack and you Battle for Dominance, that is a stronger effect than waiting till the 3rd one on this one. But I do think this being chaos attuned is, you know, there are characters, if you're not on a Battle for Dominance symbol, this is quite a good card. I think the space that I see this card filling almost perfectly is the mid-range control order characters that are chaos attuned. Because something that we've run into many, many, many times is dear God, does the order symbol have no playable one diffs at all?
Yeah.
Like it really feels like they are
Yeah.
struggling. Like ice gliding is gone. That was the like all of like the card quality for the one diffs on order has reduced so much after rotation that if you are chaos attuned, which Mitch's character is. I think this
Wow,
card
look at
is
that.
like, I look at this and I'm like, oh, it's a high block, which is also something that the order as your main symbol can sometimes feel light on. I think if you're not like, Showdown is obviously a great one and Vile Seizing, but if you're not willing to utilize an attack slot for Vile Seizing, and you're not going to put a ton of Showdowns in your deck because it is a 4-check action, that other than that, the high blocks seem pretty poor quality and few and far between, that if you're an order character with Chaos Attune, I think this card is in your deck. That it fits that space extremely well. So
Yeah,
that's not a ton of
characters.
that's not a ton of characters, but they are some relevant ones. So
I do like that they've been doing this is the second card we've seen now with the third or greater attack this turn text on it, because like that means that you cannot like rely on these as complete crutches, like, but at the same time they're important defensive tools when an opponent is like overextending or like, as we'd say, like ape behavior, like
Yes.
you know, just,
When
like,
they're
the
just-
cards on the table.
when Porco is throwing their 5th Besiege at you, like when they've played 4 Besieges and picked one up, you know, you are, oh, thank God we cleared our card pool and drew a 3 mid. You know,
I'm so glad that they are
goodness.
finally like recognizing in our game that we need to be punishing people who are like the turn 2 overextension ape aggro and not like properly calculated aggression. Like
Yeah.
it's fine if you're like getting a little aggressive and playing like 2 moves that are somewhat safe and then stopping after that, but like if you're going 3+ moves on 2, you need to be punished for that.
Yeah, there needs to be something that can give you some counterplay to that.
There must be consequences.
Yes.
Yeah, there have to be consequences for your actions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love this card. I think this card's great. This is like one of the first like commons from this set that I've seen and just been like, ooh, like I'll put this in decks. Like I like this a lot. So I think this will be
Yeah, hey, wait a minute.
I wouldn't say this is like a staple for the chaos symbol, but I do think chaos lost a lot in rotation, and I think a lot of what it lost is a card like a card like this that fits this space. So I do think this is a card that makes sense to print. So here we are.
Yeah.
Rushing Forward. Not a huge fan of this one. 4 diff, 1 low, 3 high, 5 damage, 3 check. EX3 is a good keyword, I guess. Response. At the start of the block step, if this attack speed is 6 or greater, draw 1 card. Deadlock Blitz. Draw a card, add 1 card from your hand to your momentum. So this card is not like terrible, but I do think if you are not playing a character that can turn on this card's response turn 1, there's probably no way this card is in your deck, which is like Jean, the new Jean, can do it technically. I don't think you're ever discarding a card to make this 6 speed and then like passing and that's it. But for Mitch's character, which gets a momentum, you get to make this 4 speed and then make it EX4. So it's an 8 high 5 draw card. It's probably hitting them. It's probably going to momentum, and you're probably doing it again next turn, I guess, if that's what you want. And then it has a relevant Deadlock Blitz. Like that is a Deadlock ability. Draw a card, get a momentum is a real effect. Like this is not like Deadlock Blitz +1/+1. Like this is an actual like tangible ability that maybe will help you actually kill your opponent for going into Deadlock. But I don't really see it, but it does have good numbers. Like 1 low, 3, like EX3 is fine, but I just think there's more powerful things you could be doing.
Yeah.
I
didn't think it was possible, but I found a card that I hate more than Hatefish. Specifically for the reason of like, the reason why I hate Hatefish is because if your opponent ever has a way to give your move 1 speed or damage, which there are a billion ways to do that coincidentally, because almost all of them say this attack and not your attack.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything. Like it's just really bad.
Yeah.
This card is the opposite for cards that your opponent should already be playing, because if they have any amount of minus speed, it's not getting to that threshold.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true.
For that reason, I hate it more than Hatefish.
That's fine. Yeah. I kind of agree. I think it's like it being response start of block step, like that's so many opportunities for your opponent to make this not be like your opponent can do anything to make this, and like sure,
if
technically
it
minus
is your fault entirely, and there's nothing like that can be said.
yeah, and at the same time, for this Herculean task of give this attack 3 damage and make it to the block step, you draw 1 card. So it seems like, yeah, the payoff is not quite there. I do not think this is not like a terrible unplayable card by any means. I think in draft this card is or in sealed, this card actually is probably a pretty reasonable one. It's like this will probably draw a card. It's a 1 low block, and it has, as I said, real deadlock. So this is a card that I actually think is like, it is more than just like a vanilla card for draft. I just do, and I think it's just not quite on the cusp of like constructed viability. I think it is a little undertuned, but I think that's fine. This card exists and it's whatever. I don't think you'll see this in decks, but it's not impossible, I suppose. Destructive Fire is our next one. This is a card I think very conceivably you will play in decks. 5 diff, 1 high block, 6 mid 5. Pretty good numbers. I think 6 mid, 6 speed is a pretty good stat line for a card like this, for a 5 diff. Response. After this attack resolves, if you sacrificed a foundation during this attack, your rival sacrifices 1 foundation. So we did just talk about all of these characters like Mikasa and
Eek and Irwin.
Yeah, and Irwin. Any of these death attuned characters that sacrifice for a real tangible like benefit, like Hanj as well, Hanji 2, can also maybe utilize this. I think maybe this payoff isn't quite there for a sacrifice 2. Like if you're sacrificing 2 to build,
she can get it off beast Titan attacks.
Okay, sure, she can base Titan attacks. And then Reiner 1, will use this card almost certainly. Like this is like a very good, I think, Reiner 1 card. So I think this card definitely has a decent number of homes, and its numbers are good. Like 1 high is also a good one. Like there's definitely times when you know, I think this one goes beyond like I need high blocks. Oh, this is a good one. This is just like incidentally it's also a good block. So I think this is
6 speed move also is like
very fast.
Ooh,
yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, base 6 is pretty good. I think base 6 also matters a lot where like resets are pretty popular right now because of the stats that cards like Nick and like Deviljin can give stuff. That resetting this to printed 6 is not, you know, like if they have like desperate struggles in their stages or stuff like that, like printed 6 is still tough. That's still like a good number. So yeah, I think this is a great one actually.
I'm sure I'll make
I think this will see play.
Land destruction deck for
10
minutes like I do every set, and then
Yep. Yep.
Hey, look, Marco can target destroy.
Yippee.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last reveal. This is the ultra rare, United Front. Order attuned, 2 diff, 2 high block, 5 control. Enhanced commit. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your stage, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Add one of them to your hand, put the rest back in any order. Incredibly powerful effect if you can meet the activation conditions. I feel like this is a card that is like, this is a 4 card types in stage payoff card. For like, this is one of the reasons why you would do something like that. Like this is like, Reiner is playing this almost for sure, maybe not at a 4 of, because if you like, there is a punish of if you don't meet the conditions to flip Reiner and then you have 4 of these in your deck and you draw multiples of them, God, is your stage blank. But assuming you can reasonably get to the flip condition of Reiner, you know, you're probably putting some out of this card in your deck. I think it also makes sense to play this in the new Hanj. If you are getting wall counters for 4 different cards in your stage with different names, as we talked about earlier, getting backups and assets count towards that and don't put you into the deadlock threshold, it's very conceivable that you'll have multiple assets or backups in your deck, and you could tech this card, and it could just, you know, it also is it's another effect very similar to Spaceship, to the Ceratosis, so you'll have a lot of agency in your checks, a lot of draw. I think this is just a very strong effect that will be played in these decks that want to do this thing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
So-
reasonable reward for the deck building constraint.
Right. So the other character I was thinking about as we were going through these, and we'd seen him right before we started talking, but order actually probably life Tarion, because he gets an asset for free, and if you're on life, you're playing Hunter's Ally, so you can easily put some backups. You probably have to trim some assets, right? Like you can't run as many, but that guy with a Hunter's Ally and having one of each card type in his discard just immediately turns this card on. Which is obviously like a really good payoff, especially the earlier you get it out, it's even better.
Oh yeah,
The
if
more
this is something you
activations.
get early and you do this like 2 or 3 times, like you have so much control over what's going on. I think like
Yeah.
you're really removing the variance from a lot of your turn, because most of the time you're probably going to be like picking up an attack, putting a 5 on top, playing your thing, checking it, drawing the other attack you put as the third card, right? Like it's a lot of value.
And I was just about to say, like, we got so many good backups in this set specifically. Like, all of the named character backups are just crazy, and you
Yeah.
probably want to be running at least one of them on your symbol if you're doing anywhere close to what they want to do. Like, Yelena is actually just crazy. Like, commit top 3, build one of them, discard the rest is nuts. You get to do that every single turn. There's no reason not to play that if you're on order. On Yonkapan, you get to just commit. This thing doesn't count towards progressive is nuts. Like, that is just an effect you would love to have on a 2-diff if you're playing anything life attuned. Like,
And-
basically all
And
of
the air
them
one
are
is
around
crazy,
similar.
I think. Yeah, the air one also is absolutely like insanity.
Yeah, Kiyomi is crazy. After you clear one or more cards during the combat phase, draw one card or ready one foundation that has not been readied. This is the second time or greater you play this ability this turn, commit this card. Like, yeah, if you're playing air and you're doing clear stuff, yeah, you want that card. The chaos one's really good. So after you spend momentum, this attack gets +2 or -2.
They're all allies too.
And then we've
Right.
talked about
Yeah.
the Tiber one, right? On death also, it's like builds and
Oh, yeah, the
you,
Tiber
like
one.
build,
Yeah.
sacrifice a bit, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Like, you just want to be playing these, and like there is a chance that more decks end up wanting to play United Front just because the effect is so powerful, and God forbid you have a way to ready this card.
oh yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, I'm just Jiro, but I go plus when I Jiro.
Mhm.
And that character was broken.
Yeah, we've got 6 diff asset or United Front. You can play them in the same deck a lot of the time, also, right?
True.
Anyone who's
The
life
first thing that-
attuned in order, like life and order attuned for desperate plea build in ship, and you have this because that's an asset for your requirement, right? So
Yeah.
Uh,
My personal hell is my opponent going asset, look at top 3, I'll make sure I'm checking good. United Front, all top 3, make sure I'm checking good. It's like there's no, I don't ever get to hope that you fail a check because all of them are the good ones.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a single player game at that point.
This is also
Yeah.
like order attuned, like assuming you're, you could play something else, but if you're playing on order, you also have access to fierce swings to pick this up or to build it. Like there are good cards that can help you through this. This is not unique. So you could have multiple of this too. Like if you meet the requirements and you have multiples of these, like your opponent is
Oh,
dying.
God.
Your
I know
opponent
we
is-
said
your
peak for
opponent-
this card, like peak finger for this card, but this card, first wielder and peak, is ridiculous.
Oh, you ready it? She
Yes.
searches an asset and Warhammer Titan
Yeah.
builds. Oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're so bad.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
maybe I was too harsh on you, Peak. Maybe
And she wants to
maybe,
play Yelena anyways, because
Yeah.
it's free build.
and she
Like,
probably
yeah.
wants to play the Death Attune backup as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
Oh
in the
my.
name after all. She is peak.
Yeah, I definitely already thought highly of this card, but now that we've kind of like walked through all the things, like this card seems like extremely good. Like this is there is a requirement to get its effect. Like this is not just like, as I said, I don't think this is auto include 4 of every deck that plays backups will play 4 of this card, but this is like very, very real. Like I definitely think this will be played, and this is a legitimate payoff to putting backups and assets in your deck. Well, I guess Peak is getting an asset for free, but the rest of it is like you are actually doing something to get there. So
Mhm.
very good card. Yeah, and that's
that's
the
the
reveals.
reveals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the 6 cards that UVS Games sent to reveal. So, very cool. Thanks for that. And yeah, I think that is our AOT 3 like wrap up.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening for our first episode of Where Wub.
Asterisk.
First up, it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I think we had I'm very excited about AOT 3. I think it looks very cool. I think this is for sure the most excited I've been about an AOT set. I really was not about AOT 1. I was a hater for sure, but I do think
Absolutely.
that the direction has kind of like corrected, and these cards look fun to play, and I am excited to be getting some new cards and looking into stuff. So I'm pretty excited with how this is turning out. And we didn't end up, I think at the beginning I said we were gonna talk about other decks that we've been playing. Probably not gonna do that. We're just gonna call it here. That'll be episode 2, is we're gonna talk about new decks or decks that we've been playing, and then we're probably gonna be talking about some AOT 3 decks when we have the complete picture of all the cards, we've had some time to play with them, and we can talk about our decks that we've liked and our decks that we didn't like, stuff like that. So thank you all for listening / watching. If any of you 3 have any additional outro, any comments, questions, concerns to tell the people, or we call it here.
No.
No.
Provided this actually goes up in the next 2 days, which it must.
Legally, it has to.
I just posted,
Yeah.
immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah.
I have just posted a deck profile from this past weekend. I know we all played in local championships. I was able to runner play in 2 back-to-back days and win both of them with an air Deku deck that I have been having a lot of fun with. So I posted that video on my channel. It's just my first and last name on YouTube, if you wanted to look that up.
And presumably we'll have a link to it in the description of this video, of your channel at least.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yep.
I guess I have no control over that technically, but
Yeah.
I will.
Hopefully,
We can hope.
hopefully Dean
Obviously,
helps us upload this, and B,
Yeah.
puts the
Yeah.
right stuff in
Obviously, go check out the boys' channels, all of them. I know Wub has one. I have one. YoItzMatsu. It's my username. Ryan, I know you do the JRB podcast, right?
Yes, Jeremy
you?
B podcast, yeah. And I'm also put universe. So it's mostly Yu-Gi-Oh content that I do with Jeff Jones and Bowden Temnick, but also I have a decent bit of Universes content on there now as well. So I have some deck profiles from previous tournaments of miscellaneous Hawks decks, I guess. And I'm probably gonna start uploading more content there as well for Universes in general. I've just been pretty busy, but yeah, this was originally going to go on that channel, but we decided to put it on the MGLA channel for the best. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and check out our other stuff, and we will hopefully catch you next time.